was in the gleaming darkness of Earth's night sky that astronomers first detected an anomaly beyond the helopause. At first, nobody understood the significance of the faint pulses that shifted across the electromagnetic spectrum. Some believed it was an echo left behind by a distant supernova. Others assumed it was simply cosmic background noise. But as the pulses grew stronger and more erratic, the world's leading astrophysicists launched a collective effort to analyze the data. They learned these pulses weren't random at all. Instead, they formed a pattern that spelled doom for every conscious being in the universe if nothing was done. In time, deeper observations revealed the phenomenon to be a wave of energetic decay, a ripple in the fabric of space-time moving from galaxy to galaxy. The wave seemed to devour stars from within, causing supermassive black holes to expand uncontrollably and eventually destabilize entire planetary systems. Light from certain star clusters dimmed and receded, as though consumed by a voracious cosmic hunger. This emergent threat, which came to be called the stellaclysm, was advancing inexorably. It was difficult for anyone to piece together how or why, but it was clear that the consequences would be irreversible. Unless, against all probability, someone found a cosmic cure for this destructive spiral. As the magnitude of the stellaclysm became more evident, the various power blocks on Earth realized that petty rivalries were useless. No boundary on a map meant anything in the face of an impending universal collapse. Over decades, nations had built large planetary defense programs and expanded their presence across the solar system. But these efforts were oriented toward known threats: asteroids, solar flares, perhaps an alien incursion. The stellaclysm was far beyond such concerns. Thus, for the first time in recorded history, every major power ratified an agreement for unified research. Thousands of scientists around the globe, from quantum physicists to xenobiologists, found themselves cooperating on a single question: could humanity intervene to save the stars? Decades earlier, an Earth-based astrophysicist named Salma Rhee had observed strange fluctuations in a remote star cluster. Her initial colleagues dismissed her speculation that the stars showed signs of cosmic-scale disease. "Stars don't catch illnesses," people joked. Yet her observations persisted. In every new set of data, that star cluster pulsed with a subtle, malignant pattern. Over time, these fluctuations grew. Rhee had unwittingly documented the earliest symptoms of the stellaclysm. Experience and data now suggested that if the phenomenon was not halted, it would spread to every star in the universe. Rhee's original work and theories became the foundation upon which the scientific world built its frantic race to identify a cure. Meanwhile, beyond Earth, a newly united agency known as TISA, the Terran Extragalactic Science Alliance, established outposts throughout the solar system. One such installation, perched inside a hidden crater on the dark side of the moon, had become humanity's premier astrophysical research station, codenamed Lunaris Prime. Under the leadership of Salma Rhee herself, the station's mission was to decode the stellaclysm's fundamental nature and find a countermeasure. The corridors of Lunaris Prime bustled with minds from every corner of Earth. Mathematicians, engineers, philosophers, and even theologians, each hoping their discipline might spark a fresh solution. They lived in cramped quarters amid the ever-present hum of air circulation and kept odd schedules to align with shifting observation windows. Yet the drive that united them left little room for complaint. Everyone, from Rhee to the lab technician cleaning spectroscopic lenses, understood the urgency of their task. Everything hinged on them, on what they could discover, create, or conjure. Despite the dire stakes, the search produced breakthroughs in unexpected ways. One critical clue came not from a physicist, but from a marine biologist named Elijah Abeo, who had spent decades studying the biochemical processes of extremophile organisms capable of surviving in Earth's harshest environments. Abeo proposed that perhaps cosmic phenomena could be understood in terms of complex biochemical or quasi-organic interactions. On Earth, Viruses hijack healthy cells in a terrifyingly efficient manner. Could the stellaclysm be acting like a virus, metabolizing stellar energy in a comparably efficient process and then spreading outwards? This radical shift in thinking led to a monumental reconfiguration of the research labs. Suddenly, the teams added medical wards of sorts. They began conjuring analogies between immune responses and cosmic systems, examining the wave patterns as if they were living processes rather than inert events. That was when they noticed that certain star systems, though initially infected, did not collapse at the same rate as others. A handful of stars exhibited irregular bursts that looked strikingly like an immune response, robust flares that temporarily stalled the wave. The scientists frantically analyzed these resilient stars, searching for chemical or energetic signatures that might point the way to stifling the wave altogether. Months ground by in the artificial cycles of Lunaris Prime. Communications from Earth echoed urgent pleas for a rapid solution. Hundreds of thousands of telescopes worldwide captured the dramatic expansions of black holes in the Milky Way's outer rim. Whole systems near Andromeda were suspected to have vanished into silent singularities. Panic seeped even into the most stoic hearts. Sleep became shorter. People and machines worked beyond their limits. Yet, ironically, it was precisely under these strained conditions that discovery was made. One night, Salmarie woke from a dream that lingered. She saw stars moving together in unison, each shining with a shared spectral signature. In the dream's distorted logic, they formed something akin to a cosmic antibody, bridging light years in an instant to halt the stellaclysm's encroachment. He jolted out of bed with an unfamiliar sense of hope. He hurried to the lab, scanning the data from those resilient stars. Re-examining wave patterns from a new angle revealed that the system's electromagnetic fluctuations resonated in a narrow frequency band akin to alpha wave patterns in the human brain. By harnessing those resonances, it might be possible to encourage a star to produce a cosmic amplitude spike, like an immune response that could interrupt the wave. The final push came with the forging of the stellar inoculator, an array of satellites that could orbit an infected star and inject a stabilized, carefully modulated packet of gravitational and electromagnetic energies. This injection would kick the star's output into a life-saving resonance, theoretically halting the deterioration triggered by the stellaclysm wave. If it worked on one star, maybe it could be scaled up to entire star clusters. It was as if humanity had discovered a stellar vaccine. For months, prototypes of the inoculator were tested on the sun itself, cautiously, with minimal injection intensities, ensuring the experiment didn't accidentally cause a solar storm that could destroy satellites or fry Earth's power grid. Every test demanded massive computational resources. Even so, the initial trials hinted that the method could indeed generate the needed resonance without catastrophic side effects. The final experiment took place as Earth watched, countless eyes glued to live feeds, while Lunaris Prime scientists deployed a more robust inoculation pulse. The sun's surface darkened momentarily as if threatened, then flared brilliantly, almost jubilantly. The radiation levels stabilized in a range that indicated success. Applause and cheers broke out across the globe. Though not fully proven in a real war scenario, humanity's first line of cosmic defense appeared ready. Yet the real test lay beyond the solar system. By then, the stellaclysm's leading edge had reached a star only a light month away from humans' first deep space station, Tachyon Gate 1. This golden yellow star, named Karath, was on the verge of collapse. Observers noted intensifying flashes from Karath's corona, indicative of infection. Calculations suggested it had mere weeks left before succumbing. If the wave consumed Karath, not only would Tachyon Gate 1 be cut off by gravitational disruptions, but the collapse would send a chain reaction further down the spiral arm of the galaxy. It was as if the entire cosmic tapestry would begin unraveling at light speed. In breathless haste, the TISA fleet of faster-than-light vessels was equipped with the newly developed inoculator satellites. As the unified Earth forces leapt into FTL travel, the hearts of billions on Earth pounded. The mission represented their collective fate. Upon arrival at Kerith's star system, the expedition faced immediate difficulties. Solar flares raged with unprecedented ferocity. Navigation was perilous. The wave's destructive presence muddled sensor readouts, leaving the ships flying partially blind. In an hour of gut-wrenching maneuvers, though, the satellites were successfully placed in orbit around Kerith. Salmarie and Elijah Abeo oversaw the final calibrations from their flagship control deck. They stared at monitors flickering with data streams and watched an alarming real-time readout that suggested Kerith was already entering a state of irreparable meltdown. There were only minutes to commit. Gathering what courage she had, Ree commanded the satellites to inject the amplified pulses. The star responded violently. A massive coronal ejection slammed one of the satellites, vaporizing its structure. A hush fell over the control deck. If more satellites were lost, they couldn't maintain the injection. The star's roiling surface contorted, and for a terrible moment, it seemed the wave might prevail. But then, like a recovering heartbeat, Kerith's corona flickered. The star's luminous glow stabilized, and the wave's destructive signature receded in the data. Kerith was no longer dying. Euphoria broke out among the expedition team. On Earth, billions cheered. People on the decks of orbital stations or in the narrow corridors of Lunaris Prime embraced and wept. Mission Control declared the procedure a success. Even the damage from the lost satellite was overshadowed by the momentous victory. Yet the elation was subdued by the chilling reality that thousands of stars were still infected, and likely millions more across distant galaxies. Humanity's cure was more of a promise than an immediate panacea. The wave had to be countered on a universal scale, and the resources to do so would dwarf anything that even Earth's combined might possessed. But at least now, with the essential technology proven, hope could spring. Following the Kerith success, Tessa organized alliances with newly contacted extraterrestrial civilizations. Older assumptions had crumbled, as humans realized they were far from alone. Civilizations beyond Earth had also been studying the stellaclysm, but none had found a workable solution. Many had resigned themselves to a catastrophic end, believing that when the cosmic tapestry was so fundamentally threatened, one species could hardly stand in its way. Humanity's breakthrough shifted that paradigm. Other species saw frail, short-lived creatures from Earth daring to immunize the very stars. It was audacious, it was heroic, and it was possible. Joint endeavors sprang up across quadrants. Fleets of starships carried the inoculator satellites in every direction. Humanity shared the technology openly, with no request for tribute or conquest. In response, allied species offered advanced materials that made the satellites both sturdier and cheaper to replicate. Together, they built entire supply chains among drifting asteroids, forging the satellites en masse. The wavefront was still advancing, claiming systems that had been too far gone. But everywhere their fleets arrived in time, the stellaclysm was rolled back. The cosmos had never seen such a focused, cooperative endeavor. Pan-galactic highways of commerce and resource exchange blossomed, forging alliances that transcended biology, language, and historical grudges. Slowly but surely, the wave's unstoppable march was halted. Over the following decades, the stellaclysm's infected regions shrank. Formerly unstable stars revived and thrived, now pulsing with a slight resonance they had not possessed before. Great black holes, once expanding uncontrollably, reverted to stable boundaries of event horizons. The cosmic darkness gave way to new patterns of light that shimmered through the vacuum. Tens of thousands of newly saved stars glowed with subtle harmonic frequencies that some began to call the Song of Life. This phenomenon, first discovered near Kerith, caused rapturous wonder in all who observed it. The song, as near as anyone could tell, was a continuing effect of the inoculator's resonance. It became a symbol that intelligence could stand against even the mightiest cosmic forces, and, when united, could heal the greatest wounds. After 70 years of labor, an entire generation that lived and died working to ensure cosmic survival, humanity and its new allies declared the stellaclysm effectively contained. Infected star systems still required watchful eyes, as the wave had left scars in the form of gravitational distortions that might flare up again. But the plague that threatened all was defeated. There was no single day of victory, but rather a steady realization that they had turned the tide once and for all. Celebrations erupted across 100 civilizations. Leaders, philosophers, and ordinary citizens publicly reflected on the new era of cooperation that had unexpectedly been born from the brink of annihilation. To mark this cosmic watershed, a grand gathering was held on Earth. Delegates from hundreds of star systems convened in a sprawling city built on the once war-torn continent of a special dais rose, where each species presented an artifact or cultural expression to symbolize what they had gained from uniting to prevent universal collapse. Humanity offered a simple sphere of fused quartz, inscribed with a formula that inspired the stellar inoculator. The moment was silent, but profound. Across the cosmos, transmissions carried the ceremony to billions of watchers. Following the ceremony, Salmarie, by then nearing the end of her life, stood by the Earth's coastal lines at dawn for one last reflection. She had lived past humankind's darkest visions of cosmic annihilation. She had witnessed how the pursuit of a universal cure led to a broader awakening, one not just of scientific progress, but of shared destiny among countless species. The old astrophysicist felt the subtle hum of Earth's wind on her aging skin and gazed at the gentle, rising sun. She found an echo in her soul, a resonance that matched the new star-born music that the inoculator had introduced to the cosmos. Breathing in the salt-laden air, she felt oddly peaceful. Whatever came next, humankind and their partners had proven they were neither powerless nor alone against the universe's hidden maladies. Years later, a cosmic tapestry of interconnected star systems shone across the galaxy, humming with the resonance of the cure. New scientific frontiers reached beyond the known universe, guided by the principle that knowledge and solidarity could triumph over the mightiest cosmic threats. Spacefaring fleets journeyed between luminous star anchors that glowed like beacons of hope. Entire generational ships ventured to distant galaxies to spread the cure wherever the stellaclysm might re-emerge. Humanity remained humble stewards of the knowledge they had discovered, focusing on the notion that no single species holds the cosmic keys alone. In the centuries that followed, the memory of near completion became a cautionary tale woven into the myths and histories of many worlds. Yet it was also told as an era of miracles, when life across the cosmos found a shared voice. Among the countless achievements, it was the simple notion of a cure, a concept drawn from Earth's medical understanding that had saved solar systems from certain doom. And in the glittering expanse where black holes once raged, one could now see bright clusters twinkling, each star a testimony to the moment an unlikely alliance challenged the infinite darkness and won. Even as new generations of humans set foot on planets with skies of lavender and seas of molten metals, they would sometimes pause to look up, reflecting on the past and hoping for the future. Over the centuries, the gratitude of billions of beings echoed through cosmic channels. The universe was no longer a hostile void, but a living community of worlds with intertwined destinies. And while there would surely be further threats, the crucial spark of unity had been lit. In the end, that rare gift of coming together for survival might well endure as the greatest achievement of all, proving forever that, regardless of scale, life could heal itself, if only it had the will, the wisdom, and the courage to do so.